A friendship forged in music, a partnership in its fourth decade, a lifetime in pursuit of the perfect song, and a community built along the way. 14 studio albums and another one in the wings. The band is Skydiggers. This is Employee of the Myth. Episode 10, Keep It to Myself. And now, in conversation with Jay and Gowan of the Music Buddy podcast, Andy Maize and Josh Finlayson. Skydiggers.
The song, track 10, Keep It to Myself, a song of expression, solitude, reflections of self, heavy bass groove, twangy guitar. It's got a lot. What's this song about for you, and how did it start out?
I can't say.
You can't? That's Are we done?
Not to keep revisiting a topic, but we are at a time in our lives where we're losing friends, we're losing parents, and it's just a fact. It is now part of our existence. Sometimes you watch friends struggle, might be too strong a word, but you watch them deal with whatever they have to deal with, and you imagine yourself in a similar situation and how you would handle that situation, and I guess that's really what it's about.
Because you talk about being asked, "How you doing, Andy?" and coping with the loss of somebody, and maybe just wanting to keep some of those emotions to yourself.
Yeah,
not always wearing your heart on your sleeve. Perhaps.
Yeah. You don't want to be the person who's always unhappy or
right.
It's kind of a challenging thing because grief affects everyone in different ways. It works. People work through their grief in different ways, and there's no real roadmap or schedule for it. I think that's partially what the song is about dealing with grief and figuring out how to deal with grief.
Everybody's asking me, how you doing? How are you feeling? What's new? And everybody's asking me, you still miss him? Are you ready to begin again? I'm gonna keep it to myself, 'cause this is deeper than myself.
The two of you aren't on social media much. You're you're not out there expressing yourself all the time and over expressing. Do you find that social media can be too expression, too much oversharing? Do you think it results in a false version of caring?
I think a little mystery is not a bad thing, and I feel like being too accessible or someone that you are interested in being too accessible kind of ruins it. It means you're not using your imagination about what you think it is, or like you often, and understandably, even meanings of songs, because the meanings of songs often change, and there can be more than one meaning too. You start out with a verse or an idea. I mean, we talked about Employee of the Myth earlier. I thought, wow, what an evocative title, and obviously the play on words is an obvious thing, but then how do you put that together, and what does it mean? And if I looked at it and really tried to dissect it, I think it would mean something different now than it did at the time I wrote it. And it will change again in 6 months and 5 years. But getting back to your question about social media, I think it can be invasive. And I think it can be also a great thing, you know, like I think it's a great way to, I have a cousin who has put together a family tree sort of history, and that, what a cool way to connect with family. And but it seems so much of social media is about trying to sort of sell yourself, you know, and I get that we're in a business that you're, you know, that's what you're doing, you know, you're but I don't know, I find that it's, I guess finding a balance is important in that process, and finding a way, finding your voice within it is really important, I find, and that's something I guess I haven't found with social media, because I really kind of avoided it. But lots of people do it, and they do it really cleverly, and they do it in ways that are genuine to themselves. So.
Yeah. But your expression is music. I mean, that's how you express yourself.
I mean, I think that's the thing, like, you know, like writing songs and going and doing shows, like, what the fuck else do you want from me, you know? And doing interviews, you know, like, I'm happy to talk, you know, I don't mind that, but then, you know, like, feeling like I have to be in someone's grill all the time, it's just like, God, make them stop, you know.
I want to
like,
know what you had for
already.
breakfast.
Yeah, well, so do I.
Well, we didn't even want to make.
What was that?
You know, we started out in the video age, and we didn't even really want to make videos because it was offensive that the cost of to us it was offensive that the cost of our video was the same as what we spent on the album. You know, and it was kind of
and yet it was probably the best $30,000 that we spent in our record cost right. $30,000. But the I Will Give You Everything video cost $30,000.
Yeah, especially when videos were played on much.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
well,
it
there was no guarantee that it would get played,
of
though.
Course,
so it was kind of like, but you know, we kind of get dragged into the future. That's our, you know, Skydiggers dragged into the future.
Well, I mean, Josh, you're talking about, you know, I'm a musician. That's what you are. You're a musician, you're a songwriter, and also your guitar. I mean, you could probably have your own YouTube channel, which is your guitar, you know, teaching people how to play the kind of style of guitar you play. Which reminds me, on this song, there's some great kind of twangy guitar. Is that you playing?
Yeah, I think I'm playing the guitars, and maybe I'm playing the bass in this too. I think because I think maybe we recorded it. You played acoustic and I played bass, right? Because it has that descending boom line in it. So maybe I think that was, and then Joby would have drummed on it, and probably I think there's B3 on it as well. But
but there's those, you know, those kind of shimmering.
All the electric guitar is definitely me.
Stuff.
That's you.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. And what kind of guitar is that?
I think that was a Telecaster. Daryl Smith, who is, you know, we've ran a studio in Toronto called Chemical Sound, now lives out in Victoria, had brought over a few guitars for us to use, so I used his Telecaster. That's a great sounding guitar.
And when you guys are playing live, I mean, Aaron Como does a lot of the electric when you're playing live, right? And you play acoustic. Do you sometimes want to play electric more, or do you prefer playing acoustic?
I mean, I love playing electric guitar. It took me a long time to kind of figure this out, but the way I play electric, my amp is pretty loud. There's a lot of overtones. There's a lot of harmonics going on. So it really makes the stage louder. So it means everyone plays louder and turns up. So I find that, you know, on a smaller stage, that's it's just fatiguing. And sometimes going back and forth is not, like I don't enjoy it as much anymore. But also, you know, I start a lot of the songs, and I really genuinely love being part of the rhythm of the band, you know, like the bass and drums, the piano, like I love that, you know, that if that's not solid and together, then yeah, I mean, it's not going to work. So I love being part of that core of the band.
Yeah, you don't feel the need to showboat necessarily.
I mean, and not that that's really my game anyway. But
Yeah.
but
Hide your light.
yeah. But I do love also, playing electric guitar can be a lot of fun. Like it's that loud sort of brashiness is also it is lots of fun. And when Peter Cash plays with us, I usually play a fair bit more electric guitar because that's stuff that I did play electric on. And when Aaron's there and we both get to play electric, that could be fun too.
When the band started, the rhythm of the band was really in Josh's right hand and in Wayne's playing on the drums. And that allowed Ron to play more melodically on bass. And then Peter got better as a guitar player and had a really solid right hand. And that's where the rhythm of the band came from. It's always been in Josh's right hand.
And then as we evolved, like by the time we made our second record, we were playing in, nightclubs and bars and bigger rooms where you really had to, you did actually have to play louder. And so the electric guitar became kind of an obvious, it became really necessary. So then I hardly ever played. There was a time where I like on, like through Desmond's, I did play acoustic, but there was a time where I hardly ever played acoustic guitar, even live. Songs like I Would Give Everything. I remember I was playing electric guitar on, through, times of touring and stuff like that. I also just find ear fatigue is like we're not a super loud band anymore, and I just find and we play in rooms where less volume is ultimately better as well, and we have such great players with us now. Like it's not, it's like it makes the songs better, it makes the band better, so that's a good thing too.
But Andy, well, I guess with a solid rhythm section like that, even just Josh's acoustic guitar just alone is so solid rhythmically. I guess it allows you to do phrasing however you fit your phrasing in however you like in a way, right? It gives you freedom to express as you do on this song so well. And in this one, you're doing this interesting thing that is almost talking in some parts. And you've done it on a couple other songs, and it can be really emotional. It's like the listener is getting in on a secret almost. So did you intend that for this song? Because it is sort of about personal feelings, it's about emotions, it's about hiding or keeping your emotions to yourself. Is that something that you were
I don't know if
for?
it was intentional, Jane. It was just the way it ended up coming out. When I sit down to perform a song, and we haven't, these songs are for the most part songs we haven't until recently played live. So they can change over time when you start playing them live. And often, when I record a vocal for a song, it's often quieter than when we end up playing it out for a while. It can morph and develop over time.
So how's it been going playing them live?
Well, we haven't played anything from Bide Your Time yet, but we've started playing stuff from Hide Your Light.
Oh, great!
Yeah, it's going. It's fun to be playing new material, and
good reception.
I think so. Come to My Senses is finding a pretty cool spot, and we've been playing Hide Your Light a bit, which requires sometimes a quieter audience, I think, to really get it across nicely.
Muscle Cars
has been sounding good.
Cool.
Yeah.
My City Is Gone, we've been playing.
When's your next live show? This will be coming out a little after, I guess, but what is some live shows?
We have a quiet summer, and then we gear back up again in the fall when this EP comes out. So we'll be playing quite a bit in late October through November to Christmas.
A lot of your personal emotional expression does come through your music, so would you care to express right now?
Absolutely.
And play Keep It to Myself?
For sure.
Everybody's asking me, how you doing? How you feeling? What's new? And Everybody's asking me, you still miss him? Are you ready to begin again? I'm gonna keep it to myself. This thing is deeper than myself. They say I know how you're feeling. No, you don't. You really don't. They say I know how you're feeling. No, you don't. You really don't.
Yeah, you're singing there about your most personal thoughts and keeping them to yourself, but at the same time you're releasing this song to the general public and you're going to try and get as many people to hear it as possible. Do you ever find that to be an awkward juxtaposition, or does it feel natural to do that?
I think it's always a little awkward. There was a time, probably 15, 20 years ago, where, I was not interested in being reviewed or sending stuff out to reviewers because I didn't want to be judged. But I mean, you're releasing this stuff for public consumption, so when you release it, it's no longer yours. So you put it out into the world, and it finds its own path. Yeah.
Do you read your reviews, or do you avoid?
I just read one Joel sent me. I felt I had to. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter, like it only matters what you think. I mean, it's funny because I think I would get more offended by a review of something that a friend did, like and I have done in the past where someone's kind of totally missed the mark or it's been offside, whereas if it's about me or something I did, who fucking cares what fill in the blank says, I don't care. But it's more offensive when a friend's band or a friend who's an artist gets a bad review. I find that actually bugs me more than a bad review, and it's like shows too, good review, a bad review. I mean, it doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm. It doesn't really exist anymore. There's so
yeah,
few.
and then there's an element of that. Really,
there's so few critics.
I mean,
everyone's got a blog.
I think now as well, it's like, you mentioned earlier Facebook and people leaving comments. You're going to get people that say, oh, I saw you, in 1991, that's such and such, like all that stuff is cool. And then you're going to get a hater that comes on and says, you guys blow and, why don't you go kill yourselves? And like whatever. It's so you can become consumed in reading that stuff and following it, but I'm not sure that it doesn't matter. When you finish something, you let it go and you release it and you're putting it out there for people to listen to and react to, so you have to be prepared to have them like it or not like it.
Well, I haven't seen a lot of haters on your Facebook page, I have to say, because I think what you project is an image of positivity and community, as we've talked about before. Also, mutual comfort. Like a lot of these songs bring people a lot of comfort, and they post that stuff on your page.
Nice.
And in this song, you're talking about being comforted or being asked how you're doing after the loss of a friend or whatever it is. And there's maybe no right way to comfort somebody, but do you often think about what is the right way to comfort somebody, or times when you've done it and you feel like maybe it could have been done differently? Or
sure. Yeah, sure. I think the biggest thing you can do for someone in a challenging situation is show up. That's the biggest thing you can do. People always worry about saying the right thing or what the right thing is to say. And ultimately, I think, in my experience, when I've been in a sad situation or I just appreciate people showing up to support. And I've been in situations where I didn't show up for someone who I should have shown up for, and I realized that was a mistake, because I made it about me and not about them. I felt I couldn't go to a funeral, for example, because I had been through something that made me not want to go to the funeral. But it wasn't about me. It was about supporting a friend. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is just being present, showing up.
Well, you are people who do care a lot for the people around you, and you do share the triumphs of your friends, and you share the sorrows with them as well. And you're so good at expressing yourselves, but at the same time, you do seem to be two people who do appreciate your own solitude and your own private time. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
When you seek out solitude, do you find that it revitalizes you?
Personally, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
I think I become more and more that way, especially when we tour and travel. Like, I find I really need to be on my own at times.
And are you good at being on your own as individuals?
I am.
Yeah.
I really love being on my own. I don't think Andy does. He's afraid of everything. So
I like being alone in a group of people.
So, like walking down the streets of New York?
Yeah, I don't mind. But, I there are times when you just, I think, one thing that has really taken a beating over the years are, certainly in my case, are my ears. And I sometimes seek out solitude for the quiet. I like quiet.
Anybody who's been in bands for as long as you have is in that same position, probably.
for sure.
Mhm.
I do find the city gets louder and louder.
It does.
So we have an election coming up. Do you think there's a way to make the city a more peaceful place to be, since we're all city dwellers and we can't always get out to the country?
I don't think so.
I don't
Not
know.
the way it's going.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. As more and more people come into the city, it's just, I think it's a matter of just maintaining. I don't know. I mean, I don't have an answer to that. It's a great question, and it's something that should be being talked about and addressed, but I'm not sure it is.
Well, as city dwellers, we're often looking to the country. We're often looking up north as Canadians. And you've got that beautiful song, Northern Shore, which is a title track to your 2012 album, and has also been covered by Margot Timmins of the Cowboy Junkies. What about that song does anything about that song kind of relate back to what we're talking about right now?
Well, that was written on a driving trip out west in 2007, the summer of 2007. My wife Andrea and son Owen and I drove out west, and the beginning of that song was written in Ignis, Ontario, which is a rail stop far north towards Thunder Bay, that area. And another verse was written in Jasper, and
Nice.
I think ultimately that song is about that home is wherever your family is with you, and so you can travel to the ends of the earth, but you can take your home with you if you take your family with you.
Yeah, if you have the right vehicle and
Yeah,
the right soundtrack on
That's right. We listened to a lot of Harry Potter on that trip.
Well, Skydiggers is great road music too. Do you like it when people tell you they've been playing it in their car on the road?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I have lots of memories of music that you listen to on road trips and cars. Yeah, that sounds like a good companion.
I worked one June with my friend Hugh painting cottages on Lake Huron near Kincardine at a place called Bruce Beach. And we would drive back and forth, and I think Hugh had a Datsun at that time with a cassette player in it. And he only had 3 cassettes. I think the one cassette was called Beatles 6. The other was Who's Next, and the third one was Fleetwood Mac. I think the album before Rumors. And we listened to those because we went back and forth from Toronto. It's a 2.5-hour drive. We did it probably half a dozen times in June of that year, which was, I don't know, 1979, 1980. And we would get in the car, throw in a cassette, and just go. And I never got sick of any of those songs. And we had pretty limited listening, but boy, it was great just being on the road, being young, having your soundtrack with you. That's what I love about music, is that you can hear something and it takes you immediately to a moment in time, and where you were, the people you were with, the way things smelled, the way someone smelled, as you're dancing with them or whatever it is. It's just, I love that about music. It's so evocative.
Well, would you play a bit of Northern Shore for us right now, please?
We sure would.
Expressions, solitudes, reflections of self. Live off the floor at the Woodshed, Skydiggers.
Northern Shore, by firelight, I lay down with you tonight. I lay down by your side. Our bodies warm on this northern night. 'Cause all I am blows through this room tonight. A simple wish, a kiss goodnight. And again, there's many roads that I've traveled on with you. There'll be many more before we are through.
The album is called Bide Your Time. The band is Skydiggers, and this has been Employee of the Myth. Employee of the Myth is hosted by Jane Gowan and recorded at Blue Rodeo's Woodshed Studio in Toronto, Ontario. The podcast is engineered by Tim Vesely, edited by Jane Gowan, and mixed by Tim Vesely and Jane Gowan. If you enjoyed this conversation, please rate, review, share, subscribe, and play it loud. My name is Joel Stewart. Thanks for listening.
Don't look to me for the answer. I don't know nothing anymore. I'll do my best in the meantime and wonder what it's been for. Je t'aime toujours, mon amour. Je t'aime toujours, mon amour.
I've been eyeing the big green couch, though. Maybe when we're videotaping the lads singing, I might be asleep.
You can be lounged out on the couch.
I think I've napped on
You can do some of your yoga in the
My
background.
erotic posing.
Did you just say erotic posing?
I said yoga, and it quickly turned into erotic poses.
And then for some reason I got just a flash of Burt Reynolds.
Hot yoga? You should see me.
Hot jolga.
God, that Burt Reynolds thing was such a big deal, at the time.
Was it a centerfold?
He was in Playgirl.
I thought it was like Vogue or something.
No, it was Playgirl.
Was it?
No.
I think he may have had his hand covering his junk or something.
Oh yeah.
Easily Googleable, but I won't. Because then we get the, based on your likes, you may enjoy this. You know, gotta be real careful with that. Okay. Well, let's talk about this, shall we? Okay, great. I can change the subject.